So today we are going to talk about position time graphs. We've already talked about them a little bit, but today we are just going to take some notes on what those position time graphs tell us. We will kind of start with the motion that we always see with position time graphs. It is always straight line motion. Okay, always straight line motion. Also need to know that positive motion equals forward or right. So if I move across the page to the right, I am moving in a positive direction. Okay, if I come back, moving across the page to the left, then that is a negative direction or backward. Okay. So we're working with some of our displacement has a direction because it's a vector quantity, so we need to be able to tell which way we're going when we're talking about position time graphs. Okay. I'm going to set up my page to, well, we'll do that here in a second, but let's look at some generic graphs. We know that the position is always on the y, and it is usually in meters for our sake, and time is on the x, and it is usually in seconds for our sake. Okay, so let me pull up some different colors so you can see. Okay, if I have a line that is straight and has a very steep slope, that line is moving fast, steady, and forward. Okay. Okay. If I have a line that doesn't have a very high slope, what could I say about that line? It's moving slow, steady, and forward. Alright. What if I have a line that is going this way? Am I going forward or backward? In this case, I'm going backward. Okay. My slope is kind of steep. It's sort of going at a medium speed. But notice if my line goes down, I'm going backward. That's some important stuff to kind of pull out there. And then one more kind of line that I want you to look at. Oops. If I have a straight line, what is happening? What kind of motion is it? It's not moving. That's correct. It is stopped. So if we look at our time here, for the whole case of time, I'm in the same position. So it makes sense that this one is stopped. Right? Okay. So a couple of things to make note of. Straight lines are steady or constant velocity. So straight lines are constant or steady motion or velocity. Okay. It's a little bit of foreshadowing in there. If I have a straight line, that means it's constant or steady motion. What does a curved line mean? I'm going to be changing this velocity or the speed. I'm changing my motion. So depending on the direction of the curved line, I might be speeding up or slowing down. All right, we'll talk about those lines here in a second. All right. So let's look at those lines. We'll go ahead and I'm going to make kind of a T-chart here for constant velocity. And changing velocity. Okay. Constant velocity and changing velocity. And on this side of my graph, I'm going to say forward or right or positive. And then we'll come down here and talk about backwards. Or left or negative. All right. So if I am moving forward or to the right with constant velocity, my graph might be looking like this, or it might be looking like this. What can we say about those two? They're both going what? They're both going forward. They're both going right. This one is slow. This one is fast. They're both straight lines. But notice this one has a greater slope. So it's steeper. Okay? Let's look at constant velocity going backward or left. Okay? Got my graph. Got my graph. Notice they're both still straight lines. This one is still slow. This one is still fast. Notice we have the same concept of greater slope as fast. Okay. Alright, so are we always going the same speed all the time? For these ones, these graphs, we are, but like in real life, like you're sitting at a stop sign in a car, do you automatically go 55? No, you have to accelerate, and then when hopefully you don't automatically stop at that next stoplight, because that would throw you into the windshield. What do you have to do? Slow down, right? So these motion graphs, we also can see that in motion graphs. So let's start with going forward, because that's usually the direction we are going when we are in a moving situation. So one of my forward graphs is going to look like this. Okay? Notice the curve. This graph shows that I am speeding up. And I'm going forward. Okay? Let's do another one. this graph, what do you think this graph shows? This is speeding up, so this one would be slowing down, right? So in this graph, we are coming to a stop, okay? In this one, we're leaving a stop sign. Right? Now these are all going to come into play in just a second when you do your review stuff. But if we look, we have a missing spot here. We're going to have changing velocity going backwards, or going left. Okay, so right here, we are speeding up. And we're going backward. Well, that's not a very good curve, but this one we are slowing down. Going backward. So we can kind of compare these graphs and we can tell a lot about the motion that's going on. So that's going to be your job. The next part of the activity is you're going to watch some short videos and you're going to compare the graphs to see which graph matches the motion that is happening. So I'm going to kind of come up a little bit so you can see all of the page, maybe all of the page.